Thank you. Thank you all very, very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon to all, to our Senate President, Senator Lynch, Speaker Doria, members of the legislature, fellow New Jerseyans. Before I begin my message to you, I too want to just say a few words about Senator Chris Jackman, who passed on last night. Our numbers are not complete this afternoon because of that loss. The likes of him will not be seen in these chambers again, I suspect. And I'm sure that all of you join with me in offering condolences to his family. Over the course of 4 decades in the Assembly where I served with him and in the Senate, Chris Jackman devoted himself to the people of this state. A strong, indeed, a very strong voice. He was always working for working people. He was the champion of the animal rights movement. Uncle Chrissy's wit and wisdom will be missed by all of us. He was a veteran of many important debates in this legislature. And I know his steadying hand would have played an important role in the significant debate upon which we are about to embark. We'll miss him, and I don't think there's any question about that. Ladies and gentlemen, 3 weeks ago, I came before you for the State of the State address. Since then, our nation has gone to war. I know I share with you the desire for that conflict to be ended successfully and as swiftly as is possible. The courage of our young men and women in the Middle East is an inspiration for us all. Our prayers are with them, and may they remain strong in the face of outrageous brutality. We in New Jersey especially pray for Navy Lieutenants Jeffrey Zahn of Cherry Hill and Robert Wetzel of Metuchen, and of course, especially for their families who are going through great difficulties now. The task of fashioning the next budget for the state of New Jersey, of course, pales in comparison to the task of those brave people overseas. But life goes on, it must go on. It is a part of what we must do to keep New Jersey financially secure and economically strong. Let's do our job so that when thousands of fighting men and women, our sons and daughters, brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers from New Jersey come home, they'll find a strong state filled with opportunity. We ought to start by realistically looking at our economic situation. It's true, times are tough. They're tough all across this nation. But we can't let pessimism cloud our vision. New Jersey is doing better than other states in this region. Our economy is diversified. Our potential for growth is tremendous. The unemployment rate here continues to be lower than the national average. And our credit rating on Wall Street is #1 in the nation. New Jersey works, and that's the case. Proof of that Proof of the fact that Jersey works is that last year, a record number of firms crossed the Hudson River and set up shop here in New Jersey. Moving to New Jersey continues to be a very good idea. Just look at the success of our New Jersey Giants, if you need to. I got into a little bit of a dispute with someone over that fact. And I said, you can argue lots of things, but you can't argue geography. They play their home games in New Jersey, and they call home games because it's where your home is. As we look clear-eyed at the economy, we have to take a thorough look at our state budget. With this budget, we'll continue to keep New Jersey secure. It reflects what we've been hearing as we listen to the people all around this state. I said in my State of the State address that this year was going to be about delivering on our promises. Well, this budget is all about keeping promises. The promises to our homeowners to fully fund the largest property tax relief program in our state's history. The promise to our taxpayers to get rid of waste and to reduce the size of state government. The promise to our children to make wise investments in our future, like quality education. And there's another promise, that after last year, we won't raise taxes again, no matter what the national economy did. This proposal keeps that promise too. These are the things that New Jerseyans have said they want. We've heard them, and we're acting. So in keeping our promises, it's important to note that this budget marks a fundamental change from the patterns of the past. Direct aid to people is up. Money spent on state operations is down. The numbers tell the story. In this proposed budget, 64 cents out of every dollar goes back to the people of New Jersey for help on things like property tax relief and school aid. 2 years ago, it was only 58 cents. On the other side of the ledger, this budget spends only 31 cents of every dollar on state operations. That's compared with 36 cents just 2 years ago. That's quite a change in only 2 years. And it's a change for the better. It's a change that results from the choices that we made last year, and choices that we'll continue to make this year. There's no doubt that some of what I'm proposing will be controversial. There will be debate, whether it's in the legislature here in Trenton or across kitchen tables all over our state. We'll talk more, and more importantly, perhaps, we'll listen. There likely will be changes, but I'm confident that in the months to come, as I speak to people and listen to what they have to say, as my cabinet members listen, as all of us go out and listen, we'll adopt a final budget that reflects the desires and the needs of all New Jerseyans. The most important thing that I can say about this budget is that we're keeping the promise of property tax relief. This is the property tax relief budget. That's what we fought for last year. The simple fact is that we're providing the most property tax relief in our state's history. And it's about time. The people have waited too long. They need it too much. It's a promise that we will keep. And if anyone says that the budget is bigger, it's because we're keeping our commitment to help homeowners. This budget contains twice what we used to spend on homestead rebates. And we're making sure that the most relief goes to the people who need it most. Middle-class families who pay more than 5% of their income in property taxes. 1 million homeowners will get more in rebates than they got through the old system of rebates and income tax deductions. And for the first time, tenants will get as much as homeowners do. While I've got our legislators here as a sort of a captive audience, let me repeat my call for legislation to put those rebates in people's hands by July 31st. I think that's appropriate, and I'd ask for your consideration. With this budget, we're also moving forward to have the state pay for local and county social service costs that are now paid for by local homeowners' property taxes. That's more than $250 million all over the state of New Jersey. More property tax relief. There's also hundreds of millions of dollars more in financial help in the form of increased school aid that otherwise would have to come out of property taxes. This is also the year that our new cap law goes into effect, putting a lid on local and county spending. People in New Jersey tell us they want property tax relief. We heard them, and we're acting. This budget also keeps our promise to make government smaller. The money we spend in Trenton on overhead, from paper clips to salaries, is going down by $130 million. It's going down because we're cutting waste and duplication. We all know it's there. People have challenged us to get rid of it. We've heard them, and we're acting. We began this effort of trying to make government smaller by asking important questions that for too long have not been asked. All of my cabinet members questioned intensively how their departments were spending money. They didn't accept as an answer. That's the way it's always been. Instead, they looked for ways to save money. And I want to publicly express my appreciation and thanks to the men and the women of my cabinet for meeting the challenge to make government smaller. I thank you very much. I also want to thank the volunteer professionals from the state's major corporations and the Big Six accounting firms who make up our state audit team, and recognize the distinguished New Jerseyans who direct the Governor's Management Review Commission. They're here today, and I want to just mention them by name. Stan Van Ness, the chairman of the commission, Governor Bill Cahill, Jim Ferland, Howard Williams, Martin Brody, Dr. Gloria Santiago, and John Patillo. The audit has already identified $265 million in savings. Money in the bank as far as this budget is concerned. I'd like them to stand and be recognized, if you wouldn't mind. By the way, they've also located numerous additional opportunities for savings that we'll make in future budgets. The audit's work adds up to smaller and better government. As I announced in the State of the State message, we're expanding the audit to cover the 8 remaining departments not covered. We will relentlessly continue our waste reduction efforts, such as the successful one that allowed us to trim the state car fleet by 1,200 cars. There is waste, and we're finding it. But we have to acknowledge that if you really want to make government leaner, you'll have to make decisions that involve things beyond state cars and telephone credit cards. Government is just too big. It's time that we cut it down to size, and we will. First, I propose reducing the number of departments in state government from 19 to 16. And we'll be combining dozens of divisions and agencies. If 2 agencies do the same thing, let's get rid of one. Tomorrow, we will unveil all of the reorganization proposals in detail. But today, I'd like to give you just an idea of what this type of reorganization can accomplish. One of the proposals is that we'll combine the Treasury and the Personnel departments. These are 2 departments that together employ 6,500 people. And they do many of the same things. By combining them, we'll reduce paperwork and save time and money. And we'll also be able to eliminate some upper and middle management positions. Another proposal is to relocate the operations of Medicaid from the Department of Human Services to the Department of Health. Medicaid, as you know, provides health care to the poor. It is a big program, over $1.2 billion. That's almost 10% of our state budget, and it just keeps on growing. It's a major force behind the rising cost of health care. Both Human Services and Health have programs that supervise Medicaid. We've counted at least 5 areas of duplication. By putting all the work in the Health Department, we can eliminate this waste and save money and probably provide better health care to our people as well. You know, these kind of examples are not particularly exciting, but they are the nuts and bolts of what makes government work better and smarter and smaller. But I want to emphasize, these are proposals. We want to hear what other people think and make sure that we're doing the right thing. But whatever the final details end up being, I want it to be the biggest downsizing of state government here in our state in the last 40 years. And I believe that it will be. Along the same lines of using our tax dollars better, someone told me the other day about what they heard on one of the radio talk shows. A caller phoned in and wanted to know, how come the state has to worry about money when New Jersey has in the Turnpike the most successful road since the Appian Way? Good question. Well, we've been asking it too. So I've proposed that the Turnpike and perhaps the other independent transportation authorities start assuming more of the costs of maintaining our roads. We'll harness the resources and the abilities of our independent transportation authorities and make them work for the taxpayers. And by the way, while we're talking about transportation, let me point out that this budget proposes no fare increases for the people of New Jersey who ride the trains and buses of New Jersey Transit. I'm extremely proud of that. Let me take a minute to talk about something that is very serious. The hard fact is that making government smaller has to affect people who draw a state paycheck. If we follow this budget proposal, we will have fewer state employees next year than we have today. I don't say that with any sense of joy. No one would. We should try to do everything we can to cut government, not people. I intend to work with employee representatives to cushion the impact as best we can. So we'll do as many of these reductions as is possible through early retirement programs and by not replacing workers who leave. But realistically, there will have to be some layoffs because we simply need smaller government. Some of those will be upper-level managers. Every position will be scrutinized. No one will be exempt from our long overdue look at the bottom line. What we'll have to do is to strike a balance between the real concerns of state workers and the commitment that we have to the taxpayers of New Jersey. I've already announced that my cabinet and I won't accept any pay increase this year. If there are going to be sacrifices, and there must be, everyone in government should do its part too. New Jerseyans have made it clear that when it comes to government, smaller is better. It's time for us to say to the people of this state that you're right. We hear you and we're acting. And we know that our actions have to be real. Can't be cosmetic. Because smoke and mirrors only come back to haunt those who use them. That's the lesson we learned as we left the 80s behind. People don't want tricks. Gimmicks won't protect our future and preserve our AAA credit rating. Ladies and gentlemen, I've tried today to give you and the people of New Jersey a look at what's behind the budget numbers. Because we know that the people want facts so they can make up their own minds. They want to be part of this debate. That's why in the tax forms that went out this month, there was information on where the state gets its money and how it's spent. If you haven't seen it, please go back and take a look at that information. It's all here in black and white, and we'll keep putting things in writing. As soon as the official budget is approved, we intend to put out a concise people's budget, something to which everyone can refer for the entire year. If you want one, we would like you to write us. You can also write us with your questions and your suggestions. There's a card for that in your tax package, so please feel free to use that. I guess my final observation would be that I believe that this budget is right for the times. It reflects a lot of listening, and there's more listening to come, because 1991 is not going to be a routine year. The country is at war. The country is in a recession. And New Jersey can't help but be affected by these developments. It's a very volatile situation. Other states are having worse problems than ours. This budget proposal is based on the best current available information. And of course, it could change. But we're the strongest state in the region, and we will prevail. I come here today because it's my job to propose a budget. I do not come here with a monopoly on ideas. I know there are things in this proposal that different people or different groups may want to change. Let's talk about it. I am anxious and ready to listen. Let's all work together. Now is the time for honest debate, good faith action, and most importantly, unity, as we face the future with optimism. With a strong sense of purpose, we will keep New Jersey a state of opportunity. The people of New Jersey deserve no less. Thank you very much.